take me through the process. Where does the corn actually...
The corn ran right up through the middle of the stalks. The snouts are designed where they can open and close the width on an adjuster in the back end, so they can adjust it for the size of the corn and for the size of the stalk.
So the horses go, the back of the 6 horses would be right about here.
Yeah. Yeah, the evener's pulled on these 2 bars, and that's hooked between the tractor towards the back end, or the corn picker. And they pulled on this. You had 1 horse walking in this position.
Okay. And then 2.
Then you'd have another one on the outside on each side, and then 3 more up in front.
Okay.
And there'd be a set of poles that would come out and run alongside the horses up to the first set. The second set are just out pulling on tugs. It would take 2 men, 1 man running the picker and then 1 man pulling the wagon alongside.
Okay.
There was no hopper to hold corn, so you continually had to fill a wagon. It's almost like today with your large gravity boxes and such. You have 1 operator setting on here. He's got a foot pedal here that engages and disengages the clutch on the other side, so he does have control over the machine as far as turning it on and off. The lever here will raise and lower the snout. And otherwise, that's all the guy has to do, and then drive the horses. These little wires on here, when you talk to old farmers, they always had a bag of straw that they put on the seat both for better ride and for warmth. And so these wires, which are originally on there, I kept them, were there to tie that burlap sack on, give a little better ride.
Now, they wouldn't really use this in the heat of the summer.
No, in fact, at the time they were doing this, it probably would have been snow underground back then when you started to pick corn, because you had to have it dry in the field. Original bolts, which told me how thick the piece had been. And it took quite a while before I finally figured out it was 3 pieces of wood instead of 1 thick, heavy piece of wood. And it all came together once that discovery was made. The snout is 12 inches wide at the top end and 14 inches wide at the bottom.
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea, other than to confuse me when I was trying to restore it. Because I started out with it 12 inches straight, and none of this would line up right at the bottom end. And yeah, it was 2 brothers, and I don't think either one had an 8th grade education. They farmed, fairly large farmers. They owned some good-sized machinery around this time, and yet they still had time to spend to build this machine and perfect it to the point they could go out and pick corn with it. John and Theodore were the brothers.
And how long till McCormick put out their first?
Well, McCormick was working on a picker at this time, so it came out in this area. I don't know exactly right now when it was, but both of these guys, McCormick and they, were working on pickers simultaneously. They kept adding parts and making improvements to it. And one of the parts that is apparently an addition is a sickle. It's all cast, one of their designs down here, but the giveaway to it being an addition is it's mounted on wood blocks for the shaft drive rather than the bearing blocks like all the other parts of the machine. And another one of the pieces that shows up in the photographs as an addition is this extra drive chain in here. If we go around the other side, you can see what it does. Apparently they were having problems with the stocks feeding into the machine, so after the original photographs were taken, this entire unit was added. And what it did is it would grab the stalks and pull them through the sickle and into the machine. It doesn't show up on the photos, but it's here and it's fairly complicated. They've got U-joints built into it. Just rebuilding it was a nightmare, and to try to figure out how they came up with the design to get it in there and make it work is really incredible.
Now, real quick, this was first used in what year?
Well, it's a little foggy. We know it was patented in 1904. Our best guess is that they had it built before they patented it. So it most likely, and based on the wheels on the machine, which are McCormick wheels, that's one of the 3 pieces they bought for the machine. These are McCormick binder wheels. They were built from 1895 to 1905. So our guess is they bought 2 new wheels for this machine in that time period.
And these are original, these wheels?
These are original wheels.
Okay.
There's some rebuilding done to them because they were rusted off on the bottom side from sitting in the dirt too long, but otherwise they're the wheels that came on it. They made things McCormick. The binder wheels were used only 1 on a binder. They needed 2 of them. They needed some sort of differential, so inside the wheels back in here, this big gray hub is their own casting. It has ratchets in it, so it's an overrunning differential when they turn corners. One wheel can pass by the other, and yet they both pull when they're going straight. Again, this is in 1904 when there was nothing around to look at. No machines to compare to or really study in Millette, South Dakota.
And McCormick, the history with McCormick on this machine?
Well, the story goes, and we do have letters in the museum, they were writing back and forth to McCormick Deering about the picker. One night, about midnight, their dogs were barking. They went out and they caught a McCormick engineer in their building looking at their machine. McCormick beat him to the patent, so they had to change the patent design on the machine in order to get one for it. So, at least on their side of the story, McCormick's picker has some parts of this machine in it. McCormick built what was considered probably the first successful picker, so you can assume at least part of this lended itself to making that successful picker that McCormick had and marketed. The family, the Overbys, tried to sell this. They went to Peter Norbeck, who was the governor of South Dakota. He had a well drilling business in Redfield and also manufacturing plant making well drilling machines. They talked to him about making corn pickers, building this for him, and he could see no future in corn pickers. So he declined, and it never went beyond that stage. Amazingly, the machine is wore out. And if you figure somebody that set out on a farm as a farmer in 8th grade education or less, designed and built a machine that they could run long enough to wear out, that's pretty incredible.